welcome out to another fantastic edition of the Successful Businesswomen podcast. I'm super excited today because joining me in the studio is the lovely Sarah Madras with Sarah Madras Coaching. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I feel like so legit in the studio and the camera and just so fancy.
Well, this is new to the Successful Businesswomen, but podcasting is not new to you. Although you are a coach by trade, you have a very successful podcast too that is actually ran by you and Jenny Midgley, correct?
Yes.
And it is called Girls Who Do Stuff.
Yes.
What's super exciting is you guys, if you've been sleeping underneath a rock, then you completely missed the Maggie Awards. Very exciting because I heard you guys took a Maggie.
We didn't take a Maggie. We were a finalist for the Indie.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
good.
the Triangle Indie. We were finalists for Top Podcast. We feel really good about it because with all the sleuth shows going on right now, it's the sleuth who won, like the crime podcast. And I was like, I ain't even gonna hate on it.
I love crime podcasts.
Exactly. I was like, I can't even hate on that.
What's so exciting is the Successful Businesswomen, we were only open for 8 months. We were actually finalists in the Indie Awards as well.
What?
And that's so exciting, right?
Yes.
Girl power.
That's amazing.
And not only that, Jennifer Kramer, the admin of the Successful Businesswomen, owner of Catalan's Tapas Bar, took 2 Maggie Awards, one for Best New Restaurant and one for Best Tapas and Small Plates. So lots of successful women in the Successful Businesswomen.
Yes. And I love the Maggie Awards.
Yes.
Yes. I love them.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
They do so many good things and, publicize and advertise so many great things in our community. So the Successful Businesswomen really support you guys.
Yes.
And so hats off to you for all of your work. I know that takes a lot of effort to get that project taken care of.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about your podcast on our podcast, because what I'm hearing is this is a must tune into show.
I mean, what can I say? I feel like when you show up as your authentic self and you know what your vision and your purpose is. And when we started, we knew, all right, we want to bring value. We want to be raw. We want to be real. We want to talk about the stuff that nobody else is willing to talk about. But this is the platform for people who have the courage and feel called to have those conversations.
Ooh, how exciting.
Yeah. So if they have the call to courage to have those conversations on the podcast, we get very raw, very real, some of it not suitable for children's ears, and you can be entertained. Sometimes I listen back to the episodes, and Jenny, my co-host, she listened to all of them. And I'm like, I don't understand why I'm listening to it. I was there.
Yes.
I was there. I experienced it. And she's like, listen to this, listen to this. And I listened back and I'm like, holy hell, we are entertaining. I was like, we're kind of funny.
I'm guilty of the same thing. I think I've watched our first podcast episode 7 times whenever it aired, and I was actually living in the moment right then. But it brought me joy. I was like, wow, because if people see the finished project, and you're like, oh, wow, these women have it all together. It takes a lot of work to have it all together. Yeah. It takes years of experience or a really good guide.
Yes.
So if you have a good guide on a podcast, of course, you're going to be able to get good content. And you ladies are doing a fantastic job of that.
Thank you.
Tell me a bit about your most favorite or interesting guests that you had on the show.
Oh, one of our most interesting guests was actually in the war, he was captured and held captive for years.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And so it was absolutely mind blowing of they were essentially Doctors Without Borders, and he got kidnapped and they kept trying to ask for ransom.
What?
Yes. And so he lived in a hole in the ground, like the crazy, are we allowed to coach on the show? The crazy stuff, the crazy things that you see on the movies where they're like living in holes. That's what he experienced for 2 years.
Oh my gosh, my heart goes out to him.
Right? Until they let him go because they weren't going to get any money, and how he survived, how he learned how to talk to them so that he could get things like toothpaste or fascinating.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, You've heard it here first, folks. It is girls who do fun stuff, but they also interview guys on the show too.
Yeah.
So it's a co-ed show.
It is. We're very picky about the guys we bring on.
Okay.
We're like, all right, you have to be awakened. You have to be speaking the language of the awakened man, which essentially when people are like, well, what is that?
Stay woke, people.
Exactly. Exactly. So the awakened man is one who believes in courage is vulnerability, that our greatest act of courage is the ability to be vulnerable. So they talk about emotions. They talk about struggles. It isn't toxic masculinity is what I'm getting at.
Sure. Being vulnerable, in my personal opinion, as I've gotten older, has become an asset to me. And when I was younger, and you're an excellent coach with almost 20 years experience.
Yes.
Right? She doesn't look like she would have 20 years experience. Look at this cute face with no wrinkles on it.
It's the filters, right? Y'all got the filter going.
It is a 4K camera. It looks like a Snapchat filter, huh?
Yes.
Yes. But what I've learned as I've grown older is vulnerability is an asset to you.
Mhm.
It is an asset to your business. It helps you to seem and feel real if you're being authentic and genuine. And I used to actually feel that vulnerability was something that I didn't want to possess. I mean,
It's scary.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I would build a wall, just a huge wall around myself because I was terrified that somebody might use something
Against you.
Yes. And you know what, where are those boundaries and where they lie? Now, I'm not saying go out and tell everyone your deepest, darkest secrets.
That's the thing. And people are, because like vulnerability feels really trendy right now. It's kind of like a hot trending topic. And I'm seeing people do vulnerability so wrong. And I'm like, oh no, the pendulum swung all the way this way where they're like, but I'm being vulnerable and I'm oversharing all of my crap in inappropriate environments with people who have not earned the right to hear my story. Sure. And I'm like, that is not what vulnerability is.
Sure.
Like, no.
It's something that you have to be comfortable with doing or should be comfortable with doing, but it has to be genuine.
Yes.
Because I genuinely want to share something with you.
Yeah.
And a good example is, I guess a couple of months ago in the SBW, I have had a secret that I have been hiding for almost my whole life. It may not be a big deal to you guys, but women all have their own insecurities. And I've actually suffered from rosacea and KP on my face and on my arms. I remember since I was 16, I've visited dermatologist after dermatologist to try to get a temporary Band-Aid put on these problems. And so I decided to be vulnerable because I felt like it was holding me back. Yeah. I hid behind my makeup. Okay. You can't come over because my face is not on. So I stripped it all down and I showed the world.
Yeah.
And then I got smart and hired a biochemist to work on my skin instead of a dermatologist. Julie RT with Alchemy Aesthetics. Thank you so much for putting these lovely live stem cells and bone marrow on my face. I've been able to cancel my Botox appointments. So she's a gem and you have to meet her too. She is a trip. She will have you rolling.
Oh, I love that. Those are my people.
Oh yes. I saw her last night. She's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. And I think what you're saying, the difference in that is that you are being vulnerable, not just to be like, I don't want to carry this armor, this mask anymore. You're doing it as a service to other people too.
Sure.
You are not alone. You don't have to wear your mask, whatever that mask may be, whatever that armor is in order to make yourself feel safe. You don't have to wear it anymore. We can have truthful connection and belonging.
And genuine, truthful connection.
People are craving. They want the depth and the fulfillment of the relationships, not just like, oh, we're pretending.
Yes.
We're like pretending everything's pretty and don't look behind the curtain and know what actually is real and what the struggles.
Sure.
Where I'm like, here is my picture of me crying in the parking lot because my kid was having a tantrum. Like I'm that chick that posts all of that too.
Can I get a selfie?
Right. I was like, this is what happened. The reality versus, oh, here's our like smiling family. You know, those things can be real.
Yeah.
And the struggle is real too.
But I'm sure you just related to a lot of women out there who are listening, and men too. There's a lot of stay-at-home dads or dads that are single parents and taking care of the kids or helping the wives, and their kids have meltdowns all the time.
Yes.
And in return, you could also have one of those meltdowns. So it's really important to have your tribe locked in of people that you can pick up the phone and dial up and talk to.
For sure.
You know, I was guilty in my younger years of expecting things that I needed out of certain relationships that I wasn't going to get. I'm not saying this about my husband, but just using him as an example, because I know he will be okay with it.
Right.
Hypothetical situation, just saying, if I'm an empathetic woman and I am expecting my husband to be empathetic with me, yet he's a masculine,
Right.
A+ type personality man, yet I'm disappointed because I can't get that from him.
Well, and like, let's just be real quick. I'm just going to break that down because that's a huge thing for me too, is that's one of the components I teach is empathy. So our society, not only does it not teach males empathy, it literally strips empathy away from our boys and our men. So when they grow up to be men and they're in these relationships, they're like, you're wanting me to be empathetic. I don't know what empathy is. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to speak it. It's a whole other language all within itself. And so that's where those imbalance and those unmet needs come within the relationships, is because they have not been taught the skill. And in fact, they've been told that that skill is a deficit. To lock it up, to throw, you don't need that, to throw that away. But what true leaders know is that empathy and the emotional intelligence to have the empathetic conversations is the new era of leadership, because all that old generational of like fall in line, sit in your place, it doesn't work anymore.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And it's a similar scenario with women, because historically we are trained to compete against one another. Historically, there's only been a few jobs at the top for women.
Right.
So what are we going to do? I'll fight you for it, Sarah. You better scoot over because I'm getting that 1 or 2 spots at the top.
Yeah.
And here at the Successful Business Women, we really support community over competition.
Yeah.
It is very important. Trust me, there is plenty of room at the top. We have dueling businesses at the SBW, and I've seen so many times where someone, I don't think they would mind if I use an example. So Kelly Kane and Glennis Teeter are 2 charcuterie ladies in the group. They do all things charcuterie. They're fantastic. And one of them got sick, and they had a ton of work to do that week. And there were some grazing tables, which in the charcuterie business, that's the piece de resistance.
Yes.
That is your A+ grade.
That is your
moneymaker
program.
Yes, that is your moneymaker.
Yeah.
And so when one of them got sick, the other one said, hey, would you like to make an extra $3,000 this week?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be able to. Well, of course you'll take that phone call, right?
Yep.
But if they were competing against each other,
they would be afraid to do it.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Yes. Trust me, there's plenty of room at the top.
Yes. And so much to go around. And you get to the top faster when we're working together.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, I appreciate all of Sarah's tips today on the show. I'd like to dig a little bit deeper because I believe the people want to know about Sarah Madras coaching.
Okay.
I've heard you got a lot of great things coming up. The Successful Business Women just did a small leadership training, and Dana Kraft, led that class last month. Was it this month? It was this month. Okay. So we have a lot of activities. I know. So you are actually certified to teach Renee Brown workshops, right?
Correct.
First off, tell us who Renee Brown is, and then tell us a little bit about your certification in this wonderful, interesting program that you have coming up to teach us all how to be better leaders.
Yes, of course. So Renee Brown is a fellow social worker like myself. My background is in social work as a licensed mental health therapist for years before I transitioned to coaching. So she is a social worker with her background in research. She has spent over 20 years researching vulnerability, shame, compassion, emotional intelligence, and really putting language and words to our emotions and the things that we experience, so that we don't experience shame when we struggle. We are going to make mistakes. We are going to have hard days. We're going to fall. And either we sit in the shame and it makes us feel worthless and like, well, I should never try again. I should never put myself out there again. I should always be guarded. Or you can have the resiliency skills, which is what I teach, where you just rise stronger. You learn, hey, I want to be brave and courageous. I want to put myself out there. I feel that call to courage and I'm going to answer that call. And if I fall down or if I get judged or if I get rejected, then I'm going to have the skills to be able to rise stronger and keep learning and keep going.
That's super exciting.
Yes.
We love Renee Brown here at the Successful Business
Yes.
Women, and you have a 12-week workshop
Mhm.
coming up. Is this for anyone? Anyone can take the workshop?
So anyone can take the workshop because essentially how we define a leader is not by corner offices. It's not by, being the CEO or owning your own business. Leaders are everywhere. A leader is anyone who sees the potential in people and processes and then has the courage to develop that potential. That is what you are doing. You are the leader who's saying, I see the potential in all of these successful business women, and I have the courage to help develop that potential.
Oh, she made my job sound so interesting.
Well, that's what you're doing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So tell us how we can get more information about your 12-week program.
So you can either join my free Facebook group, Brave Leaders Dare to Lead, where inside it's already chock full of trainings. I do a weekly free training. So there's tons of trainings in there, and everybody who's in the group gets first dibs, which means they're the first to know when the doors open on Dare to Lead. They get discounts and things like that. You can also just shoot me an email at sarah@sarahmadras.com and ask for more details, and we'll get you on the waiting list.
So we're going to dive deeper, or you're going to dive deeper in your workshop. I believe you said it was 2 hours per week on a Zoom call.
2 hours per week via Zoom over the 12-week period. And so you're going to learn the skills from me. I teach the skills. I incorporate it a lot with storytelling. So I'm going to be modeling the vulnerability right there. So if I'm talking about a topic, I'm going to give a story and relate it back to, hey, this story happened at Christmas with my in-laws, and here's how I applied the skills.
Okay.
So I'm modeling that vulnerability. We're going to teach the 4 skills of your core values, knowing what your core values are, behavioralizing them, living into your core values, trust. What are the 7 components of trust? Every time I do this workshop and I ask people, let me ask you, on a scale of 0 to 100%, how trustworthy are you?
Okay, so I'm learning to trust. I think she wanted a straight answer from me, and I'm not quite sure she's going to get it.
It's okay.
I would love to say that the good in me wants to see the good always in others. But if I'm being 100% honest, and I really do feel like you want me to be 100% honest,
Always.
running a social media page is not as easy as it looks.
Right.
It really isn't. And it's taught me so many things that were great. And it's taught me to be cautious in so many ways too. So I'm cautiously trusting of people.
How trustworthy are you though?
Oh, can you trust me?
Yep.
I'd say yes.
I know. How much percentage?
I'm going to give myself 100%.
I was like, every time there's at least 2 people in the room, everybody says 90% or above, every single person. And there's at least 2 people in the room that are like, I am 100% trustworthy. And then when I break down what trust is and the 7 actionable observable components, and then you actually take the test, they're like, oh crap. Because most people the goal is to be 85% or higher.
I will say this though, you are absolutely correct. There's always room for improvement.
Yeah,
so,
and we're breaking trust without even realizing it.
Sure.
And so
give us an example of that.
Okay. So an example of breaking trust without even realizing it. One of the components is boundaries. And when it comes to boundaries, the thing that people always forget is they say yes to things that are actually a no for them.
Ooh.
Which means they're breaking trust because they broke boundaries. So if you ask me a question and I'm like, yes, that sounds great. But inside I'm like, oh crap, I really didn't want to do that. I'm too overwhelmed. I'm too busy. You're sitting there being like, yes, Sarah is all on board. She's with me in this. She's so excited. She can't wait to. And I'm sitting there going, oh, I don't really want to do this. And so it's
not genuine.
Correct.
It's fake.
You. Yes.
I
lied to you. I lied to myself and I betrayed you. And so next time that you go to ask me something, you're going to be like, is it a real yes? Or are you just telling me yes to please me? See?
Well, you're making me fall in love with you. And even though I just went through the workshop, a small portion of the workshop, you're making me want to sign up because she is full of so many tips and tricks and so many nuggets. I really feel like you are the total package.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And sometimes when I get new people in the studio that I haven't had a lot of time to spend with, I get a little nervous, just like anyone would, because I don't want to let you down. I don't want to let the successful business women down. But I must say that it was so easy to talk to you.
Thank you.
And
I
feel like I've known you much longer.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. And I think that goes back to the willingness to be real, to be vulnerable and be genuine.
I get that genuine vibe from you. I don't feel like there's a giant brick wall between the two of us.
Yes, not at all.
You're very open, raw. This is me. This is what you're going to getting. This is what you're going to get. And then I genuinely feel like your heart is in that right place, that you just genuinely want to see people succeed and you genuinely want to help them get to that next level up.
Yeah, totally. And I want to see they're real too. You know what I mean? When it's like, hey, this is me. This is who I am. I want you to feel comfortable to be like, and this is me and this is who I am. And know that it's safe to do that. Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's not always easy to find your tribe, but I do know that when you settle down in situations such as the Renee Brown workshops that Miss Sarah is leading, you tend to make some lifelong relationships that just last forever.
For sure.
When we did the Renee Brown workshop this month, I have to bring it up because it's cute and it's funny. And I just feel like the public needs to know. So we broke off into mini groups to read this book. And then each week was from the workbook, right? We had worksheets that we had to work through so that we could grow to be better leaders and better communicators, not only for ourselves and for our business, but for others as well, right? And on week 4, it was a big meeting that we all came together for. And we challenged them. Dana Kraft challenged them to come up with nicknames for their team. And the winner was hands down the Squirrel Squad. Yes, people, I said the Squirrel Squad. Yes, it was appropriately named the Squirrel Squad because they're all A+ type personalities with big, bold, creative mindsets. But I will tell you what, it was a challenge to get through her book in 30 days.
Yes.
So I'm so excited that you're spreading it out over 12 weeks.
Yes.
The Squirrel Squad won the competition. They were the only ones to finish the entire book, and they finished all of their worksheets, and they showed up in Squirrel Squad hats.
Yes.
They had Squirrel Squad bookmarks. I mean, they had branded.
They owned it.
Their self. And then they won the next Renee Brown book. What is her new book that's out?
Atlas of the Heart.
Yes, Atlas of the Heart. Yeah. And they said that if it wouldn't have been for that workshop, they would not be the bestest of friends. And those relationships were cultivated in 4 weeks of just working together, digging deep to figure out how you can become a better leader. And that's exactly what you're doing coming up soon.
Yes. And if that happened in 4 weeks, imagine the transformation over 12 weeks, the relationships, the connection. Some people say to me, they're like, this is the first time in my life that I have felt truly seen.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yes.
That's so powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
Not only is that so powerful, Sarah is so powerful too. You have to experience this for yourself. Sarah, I'm intrigued. I want more. I'm definitely tuning into the podcast moving forward, and we have to get you back in the studio.
Definitely.
But for any of those who are looking for that extra boost in their life, I have a life coach, but I'm thinking, do I need an extra one? I'm really digging your vibe. I'm being genuine. If you're looking for a coach a leadership trainer, someone to give you an extra boost, someone to believe in you, someone to tell you that you are gorgeous, you are worthy, and you are enough, reach out to Sarah Madras. And could you please tell us all what's the best way to get in contact with you?
So the best way to get in contact with me is email first. So sarah@sarahmadras.com.
Spell that last name.
SARAH. So I have an H, and then Madras is MADRAS.
Okay.
Yep.
Social media handles, please.
Is Sarah Madras Coaching. So super simple. It's Sarah Madras Coaching everywhere on all the socials, Facebook, IG, all over the place. Instagram.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you said you had a Facebook group,
I
which
do.
uplifts and empowers. Is it just women?
Yeah. No, it is all leaders. So again, leaders in your family, leaders in your community, leaders in your churches, college students are saying, hey, I want to be more courageous. I want to learn to be more brave. That is the place to do it. It is called Brave Leaders Dare to Lead, where we create courageous leaders, brave leaders who create courageous cultures. So in the group, brave leaders creating courageous cultures.
Well, if you're looking for a little bit more courage or the ability to be more brave in your life, definitely give Sarah a shout. We are going to have her back on the show because I love her energy. I really appreciate you tuning in. And I appreciate you coming out on the show.
This has been a blast.
And I hope you guys stay tuned because next week we're going to have another fantastic episode of the Successful Business Women podcast. Stay tuned because you never know what local business owner we will have on the show next or what shenanigans we might be up to next. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Tune in for next week.
Bye. Thanks.